I feel like I've had a pretty good experience with my parents over high school. Like I've had a pretty
Do tell.
good, like I never,
experience.
pretty unique experience. Yeah, but a lot like I appreciate it because I see a lot of other people who have a much tougher time with their parents and explaining to them how like explain to them how they want to live their life in high school, and the parents just not understanding that and wanting them to do what they want to do, want them to do, because I think like parents think of their kids, obviously think of their kids as like their kids and they're like theirs, like they have to give them the path to how to be successful. But instead I think it's more of you guide them, obviously, like you do have to guide them because you've lived life already, and or a lot of life already. But I think letting them learn their own lessons is so much more important than you trying to teach them the lessons without them figuring it out first.
Knock him out the box, Rick. Knock him out, Rick. Knock him out the box.
Yeah.
So what do you guys want to like talk about today?
I have a good one.
Yeah.
It's like especially in this area, the expectations of making money coming out of high school, because a lot of kids here have it set up for themselves. I mean, kind of known.
Here that live
Like in this
area.
specific area, like in the
'Cause
Valley,
we live
Calabasas.
in the valley,
Yeah.
close to
And like
hidden hills.
there's a lot of like if you get out of high school doing your own, like there's obviously the schooling route, you can go get a degree, but if you don't want to go do that, you want to make your fortune somewhere else, if you don't succeed, it's like when you do succeed, it's seen as like, oh, like you're so hardworking, you're so successful. But when you don't succeed, it's seen as literally like the polar opposite. Like you just
right.
like
And
you're not
you're in the middle.
like you're lazy, like you just couldn't do it.
Right.
Yeah, and then it's not forgiving.
And you're not good enough if you don't
Yeah.
make it. So it's pressure.
Yeah, exactly.
So you feel that pressure?
Yeah. Now I never did before, but now senior year.
Because you know this is your last year.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys are all seniors at El Camino High School, by the way.
Yeah.
Right? For people
Yeah.
that are listening. And then Cody, Gabe, Nick, I know you guys introduced yourselves, but like I might say your names so when people hear it on the podcast, they know who's who in case you guys sound alike.
Mhm.
You guys sound pretty similar. What do you think? Yeah, a little bit.
Maybe, yeah.
Not Nick.
Not Nick.
Not
Everyone
me.
says me and Gabe sounds here, but not Nick.
Yeah, we sound the same.
Yeah, man. So how do you handle the pressure? Like why do you think
I mean, like for me, I don't have it set up for myself coming out of high school. I mean, I'm probably gonna go to a CSU. Like realistically, I mean, I don't want to have student debt. Like I've seen, like it's just, I feel like it would be anxietizing to have debt coming out of high school. So I want to go to a CSU. I probably want to become a realtor or something like that. But I mean, I always think of that possibility that like it just doesn't work out. I mean, like it's like I know I'll work out for myself because like everything else I've put my mind to in that sense has worked out. But I mean, there's always that chance that it wouldn't work out, and I'd feel like the stress of that is just like, it's just not where I want to be, like ever.
right? And all your parents have been successful.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
that's like the minimum.
Yeah.
Like if you're not as successful as them, it's like what the hell did they do? What was the point of them busting their ass to like
Exactly.
create this home? Because all of you guys are like first generation nice homes.
Yeah.
So like
Mhm.
Yeah.
middle class homes. Because like we were on the come up. Your parents,
Yeah,
are
I'm first gen.
immigrants, like
Yeah.
like we were. That, and your dad just figured shit out and became an amazing custom cabinet maker
Mhm.
and is a master.
Mhm.
But what if you don't find that? What if you
Yeah.
don't stumble upon your mastery? But that's bullshit, bro. That's just our brains fucking with us all the time. Like, what if I'm not good enough? It's insecurity. It's searching for danger. It's what our brain does. Oh my god, what if there's an animal there? What if? But the truth is, when you play this game long enough, like me, when you become gray like me, you lose some physical, but you gain perspective with pattern recognition, because there are principles and patterns to this game, man. And the way you guys handle yourselves and how you're doing in school and social skills, all you got to do is let yourselves figure it out, man. You can even make mistakes. And if you were to come to me in 5 years, Gabe, and say, man, this real estate thing didn't work out, I'd say, all right, well, what's the next thing? You just got to figure it out. And you'll probably kill it. And that's what's going to confuse you. If you don't like something and you're killing it, you're going to be like, oh my God, I don't want to do this anymore. Don't. Go do something else. That's what I did. I did well in my accounting profession, even though I hated it and I couldn't get out. because I thought I couldn't do something else well. You know, it's scary, man. You gotta have faith in yourself. That's what it comes down to. Everyone talks about faith, but you have to have faith in something. God, yourself, something. So, so real estate and Cal State University system.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Why are you going to school if you're going to do real estate?
Well, it's like a new thing. Like a lot of college, like not a lot of colleges, like a few colleges have adopted like this real estate program that like gives you opportunities coming out of college, like SDSU. That's where I want to go, San Diego. And like I feel like it could be a good idea for me if I don't want to jump into it immediately. It could just, and I kind of want to have that experience, at least going to college, and even being a realtor while I'm in college. I feel like would be cool just to get a head start. So yeah, that's kind of the route I want to take. And also, my grandma was a really successful realtor in Denver.
You want to be like a realtor, like an agent, a
Like
broker?
I want to become an agent, which eventually leads to me having enough capital to like flip houses and stuff like that, and just be like in that field, not specifically an agent, I guess.
I got you. But, you know, and I'm just going to say this, you probably know, but you don't need a college degree to do that. So I appreciate what you said because you're doing it for the experience kind of too.
Mm-hmm.
And you're young and all your friends are going to college. And that is a factor, you know. But if you were doing it, if it was all a money play, then probably the best bet is just go right away work for a realtor and do all the paperwork and learn the paperwork and make a little money and then pass the agent exam and be like a 20-year-old or 19-year-old realtor agent. Nothing stops you from doing it and then make money because that's how you're going to make money anyway. Even after you get the degree, you're going to go do that.
But to me, I think the college experience is so, like, you would miss out on so much by missing out on college. Even though you do get to start early, I would take the college experience because I want to live the rest of my life knowing that I went to college, even though it might not be the smartest thing to do financial wise. There's things that I gain out of it that I value more than putting myself in a good financial place.
I agree with you 100%. Actually, I always talk about how college is just an option and you shouldn't like feel like you have to go to college to be successful. But that is such a great point that I don't really talk about, which is there's more to life than just dollars and getting to your like, oh, save money, don't go into college. Because I had a lot of fun in college too. I went to parties. It's weird if you go to the college parties, but you're not
in college. Yeah, people do that, and it's weird.
It's kind of weird.
So I feel like you're growing up. You're growing up early.
Right.
I feel like when you're in college, I mean, you're not a kid, but it's still like you haven't gone out there yet.
That's true, man. And here's I'm gonna give the argument for going to college for those reasons. I just don't want people to ever feel like, oh, I didn't go to college or I can't go to college. I don't want to go and I can't be successful. That's ridiculous, man. You can actually get to the money probably faster these days, actually. But the experience, your networking too, man. Like you make some deep connections with people that are gonna be making deals, and you can make a lot of college friends created amazing businesses right in college.
That's what I'm saying. The amount of times I've heard where people start stuff in college,
right?
Yeah. Or meet people that they're friends with for the rest of their lives in college. I can't. Even though the same thing, you're also missing out on stuff by going to college. I would still value the stuff that I get in college more than that. But everyone's different. So someone could value that less than I do and not want to go to college because financially it doesn't make sense for them. Then they don't.
And you're living in a community where people are like open, they're learning, they're not like working full time usually, so they have more free time, and you get to live in that village too. That's another pro that if you don't go to college would be weird. Like,
right. Well, everyone's on the same boat. Everyone's on the same boat. Like everyone goes through the same things every day that you do.
Totally valid, man. I definitely and I support that decision if that's I want people to be happy. So if you're doing it knowing, the trick is though when you're there to not get sucked into a profession that isn't really something like I did. I went to the career center and picked on what's a good field, not what I liked. So that's something you got to figure out. Don't just rely on college to do it. Like work at places you're interested in, kind of like you're doing now. You're working at a store that you are interested in, not just a random job to figure yourself out. So you guys aren't. What about you, Nick?
If
Do
For
you
me,
feel the pressure that Gabe's talking about to be successful?
not necessarily the same way Gabe does, because I know I have my parents always behind me. 'Cause like you said, I have a
You can
very
always count on their money.
yes, I can. But but the thing is, that still doesn't mean I'm not gonna work hard. That's the thing, because what I want to do is I want to do med school. So that's not regardless of the money. Like I'd be even fine with the debt because I think I'd be able to handle that. Like with the pressure, because as students, I think we all experience enough pressure to move on from just it's just money. We're living long lives, and there's always opportunity to make money.
Yeah.
So it's just a number out there that I really think that people value too much. And for me, like I said, med school, so where I am fortunate enough to have enough money, but it's not like I can't slack off for that. So
And it's keywords there are cash flow. To your point. First of all, I was gonna say this that you do get by going to college, you get to take out a very low interest like loan and live off of that and fund your lifestyle for 4 years. And even if you have a $200,000 debt, the payments are stretched out pretty nicely with low rates. And so as long as you eventually have a job that makes enough money for you to have a little bit on the side to keep paying that debt while you're paying your rent, and you're good. Like who cares? It's just a number.
Exactly.
As long as you have enough to like go on vacation, buy food, buy clothes, and a little bit to pay off that student loan that never gets paid off. But who cares? As long as you're living the lifestyle you want.
Yeah.
So that is a good point, man. You're right. And I agree. Like, see, like that's cool. You're not really thinking about the money. You actually want to be a doctor. And so even if the money is not necessarily there, you're happy that you're doing something that,
and especially as a doctor, it's something that there's always going to be need for. Like we're never going to not need any more doctors.
Right.
So it's a high paying job. So it's like, for the first 10 years or so, you may struggle, but it's not like I'm going to live just till 40.
Right.
So I have another 40 years after, to enjoy my life. So I will struggle for the first half and then enjoy the rest of my life, knowing that have a secure job, making enough money to be well off in Los Angeles. So.
Right. Yeah, it's not easy. Man.
Well, this is the first year that we've because junior year you're supposed to start feeling the pressure of college and like the fact that like shit's catching up to you and stuff. But quarantine
changed everything.
Changed so much. Like I didn't feel it at all. It became so real so fast. Like the first 2 weeks of senior year, they start throwing all this college stuff. Like college essays, you're already too late if you want letter recommendation for a lot of teachers. Like so many things that I just didn't know I even had to do yet. Because I mean, obviously I've never done anything for college, so it came up on me like this. Because I went from being a sophomore where college is so far away, and then everything skips where I'm worrying about like online school, which is nothing, and we're just like, oh yeah, we'll go back to school eventually, and we come back and everything's back. Everything's like you're behind on stuff. You need to start doing your college stuff now, and it became so real. It changed my view on what I want to do and how I want to go, how I want to live life after high school. So much because nothing was real until like the last couple of weeks.
It got real fast, man. Yeah, because you were freaking in the middle of your sophomore year.
Which is sophomore year, they don't really talk about college. Dude. Right. They came to our class one time, I remember, and they talked to us about it. But I was like, when I was sitting through that thing, I was kind of like, yeah, whatever. This time they came to our class, I listened to every word they said because I did not know what the fuck I'm doing. Like 100, like I literally don't know what I'm doing.
Dude, that's crazy. This is your whole life has been pretty much under this business model of like living at home as an underage person that can't make their own decisions, doesn't have to pay their own bills, doesn't have to have their own place, to like, oh my God, I got less than a year left potentially if you're going away to college. And it's a whole new business model, man.
Not even. We have 2 months to apply to college.
Yeah.
Have
November
you guys all
30th.
applied?
No.
I mean, I haven't started.
We're all behind.
Yeah.
That's the problem because you're supposed to start your junior year. You're supposed to start during your junior year. And then senior year, you're supposed to apply. And then applications are due like October or the end of November.
Like
or
November
beginning
30th.
of November. Yeah, something like that. And the day it was, always seemed so far away. And then now I'm like running out of time. And once you submit those college applications, it's like, you're kind of like, I'm done. Like, I'm done with high school. Like,
It's a
you
lot
feel
of
like,
work.
yeah.
So you guys got to submit in the next 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have
Well, they're
time.
not that much. It's one application for all the UC schools, and
Yeah,
then
Got it.
the ones for the state schools are nothing.
That's a little
It's
more
literally just your
complicated,
You,
GPA.
you have to write an essay.
think-
But yeah,
No,
for UC,
not for the other ones.
for UC, oh no, Cal State, no.
Cal
that
State, you
was
don't have to
it.
write anything.
But for UCs, it's like there's like 8
Yeah.
essays. You choose 4 of them, and then you just
UCs
pay
is
to
tough.
apply to the other schools. Like
Yeah.
it's like $70, and they like read it. That's it. But Cal State, it's different. I think it's your high school transcript, and then
And that's like I think that's
Well,
it.
they look at specializations.
Yeah.
Like, extracurricular.
But you literally you just set you it literally just facts. Like you just throw them everything about you, and they look at it and they say yes or no. Instead of UCs, you have to read your essay. Sometimes for UCs, essays get people in.
Right.
Like
That
if
is
you write
true.
a good enough essay, your essay can literally get you in if you have a worse GPA than someone else.
That's what I was going to say, man. Because you can really, all of you guys, if you're open, the essay, man. Because they're tired of seeing the same thing. If you can write something from your heart, dude, there's always something you could do. Like for you too, man. You and Ben, like that whole story and what you
Mhm.
want to do. I don't know. I mean, there's a whole
But
angle there.
I was just gonna say the with the pressure thing where we feel it from our
Yeah.
parents' success. You start to feel it from school, obviously, like when the teachers and stuff. But then you start feeling it from your peers.
Yeah.
Like other people talk about them submitting applications. I'm like, dude, what?
And it's also the other way. I feel like a lot of people define their life in this like it's hard to explain. Like the people who you thought were gonna probably end up in bad places. It's sad to say, but like I mean, with almost 2 years at home, with nothing but free time, you kind of a lot of kids you see turn into
Slip.
more of what they're gonna turn into in 5 years. Like I'm like kids who were mainly probably just getting into drugs. Like there's some probably like there's some screwed up kids now like that their future is essentially ruined, or people who make bad life decisions. Like
Wow. Do you think it was because of quarantine or just that was a time period?
I don't know.
'Cause that's
It was
also
just
the time
it's a
period.
time period where you
Yeah.
change a lot.
I think it was the time. It was the time you changed a lot, but I think that the time at home, like
Yeah.
the time away from like, honestly, away from like, it was away from like society standards a bit, because you're not around people, so you can make more questionable choices without getting any backlash. So like people just, I feel like a lot of people embrace that, and either you worked hard and you like kept your goals set on life, or some people they gave in to something that probably wasn't as healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. And just like you were saying, it was like quarantine was a period of time where like everyone's true colors kind of showed.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why like after a year and a half, you saw people got into fitness, people did this.
Exactly. Yeah.
A lot of things
It's
happened.
both ways.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It goes both
True.
ways. Yeah.
Goes both
It
ways.
was a moment of truth,
Mm-hmm.
man. You don't know how many people, adults too, like that changed their direction completely during COVID. And it's one way or the other. Either they went really good, like they started their business because they're like, that's it. I'm going to be that artist I want to be. Or they went like in a complete
Mhm.
opposite way.
Yeah. For like an example, like I know a guy who, like I don't want to say his name, but like he did good. Like he invested in Tesla or something. I heard a rumor, and like he's doing great. Like he's thinking of starting a business startup. Then on the opposite end, you have a kid who like probably got involved in like drugs, hanging around bad people, and like I feel like that's hard to get out of. I feel like you're setting yourself up for something that's really hard to escape.
Mhm.
A lot of crazy shit happened during
Yeah.
COVID.
I think also though we used to see everyone every single day, so you wouldn't notice change as drastically. And then now we came back, and I think also we were 15 and came out 17, so it like those 2 years are also a big 2 years for change. So the fact that we had to not see people that we would see every single day for that long, and then all of a sudden come back, it was like a shock. The first week of high school back of senior year was like
Yeah.
fucking like mind blowing.
Mhm.
Like seeing some people that I haven't seen in so long and seeing how much people changed,
It's
and the
completely
way
different
people
people.
separated into their own groups of like wanting to go to the people who like the same things as them. It happened so like it used to be everyone in our grade was kind of this like kind of together, and now it's like so separated, and like I don't even see people sometimes that I used to see because they're
Yeah.
hanging out with some other random group that they like because they like I don't know, sharks or some shit like that. Like
Sharks.
you know what I mean? Like
People are like clicky. a lot.
yeah, people become more clicky.
Lot
Yeah,
more-
everyone's
Yeah,
group
that's actually
everyone's
true.
group is smaller.
I feel like everyone like right when we left, like this is more specific to our group, but like
Yeah.
we'd hang out with like a really really large group of people. We didn't have like a set group of people, but coming back, people have like their group of 6 or group of 4 that they're like tight with.
Yeah.
Like people people
You think
got.
that had to do with the quarantine?
I
Mhm.
think
Yeah,
I
because
think so.
those are the people you'd see every. I mean, it happened
You
with
grew
us.
apart.
Talk to
Exactly,
people
yeah,
you talk
Yeah,
to
the
every
people
day.
you talk to all the time.
Because you guys grew apart. You're not
Mm-hmm.
seeing each other for like such a long time. Cannoli, come here. And then you get used to like that tight circle because it's hard to coordinate with 10 people now when you're
Yeah.
all like separate, right?
Well,
It took
And then
more
you come
effort.
back and it's just uncomfortable now to open
Yeah.
up to these people that you don't know anymore and you've grown apart.
Because to keep a friendship in quarantine took a lot more effort than it did in
Right.
person.
Yeah.
So you weren't able to keep as many friendships as you used to. So then you would just stop trying with those people that you weren't as close with and only keep your tight circle.
Yeah.
And then now we go back and everyone's still in their tight circles because they
Right.
don't. It's like
Yeah.
slowly people are branching out more, but everyone still always wants to go back to their safe place of like that
It's
tight
like a
group.
selfish truth. Like you'll
Mhm.
put the effort into being with the people you want to be with. Like
Yeah.
we're all guilty of it in a certain way.
Right.
Just maybe in some people more dramatic than others. Like the people you want to spend time with and be like, you're gonna put the effort
gonna
into
put the
being like them and wanting to spend time with them.
So do you think it's sort of the quarantine sort of forced you to figure out who
Yeah.
your like
Oh yeah,
core
yeah.
true people
Yeah,
are?
it did.
Friends
man.
means being a friend means something completely different to me now than it meant to me in 10th grade.
100%.
Yeah.
Everything was more surface before. Everything was more surface before, and now everything's becoming more real. Also, I feel like I don't even know what it is, but now,
Force people to go deep
Yeah.
yeah,
No, like
because
But-
you have to make an effort and you're like, and then you go, oh, shit, why? And then you got to deal with that reality that you grew apart with somebody that when you see them just casually every day, you could be like, hey, what's up, man? Hey, da da da. But now it forced you to see the reality, man.
everything became more of like a real relationship. You have to have like real relationships now because before I remember like going to school and it was like, oh, I would just talk to like I was never like really close with like a couple of people. I was always like decent friends with a lot of people, and now it's like closer connection. You have to have like closer connections now to like to feel like you have to feel like you have friends. Like like you literally have to have that to feel like you have friends. Whereas before, I didn't feel like that as much because I feel like we were still just kids with like random friends where it was like, oh hey, make a random joke and that's it.
and even your closest friends. Like I mean, us three were close, but there was never a time after school where we'd see each other
Yeah.
every day. Like there's definitely been times that I've seen these guys during the summer, like probably literally every day for like a month straight.
Probably more than a
Yeah,
month.
probably
Yeah.
on more than a
It
month.
was it was
Yeah.
original like OG quarantine. Whereas even before school ended, it was like every day we were biking
yeah,
together.
yeah, literally
Yeah.
every day.
It was
like,
at least like 5 times out of the 7 days of the week.
That's just what you had to do. I mean, like,
But you guys bonded even more over quarantine.
yeah,
Because
Yeah.
before quarantine, maybe because you had so many like
People.
more superficial network of friends, it was easier to fill those times.
It became harder to hang
But
out
you
with
guys,
them.
because Nick, for people that are listening, you know, you and Cody go back to
Like 2 years
almost
old.
the beginning,
Mhm.
2 years old, because we were literally, and you still are, across the street neighbors in a cul-de-sac, literally looking out the kitchen window at each other, waving hello.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to live in that house, but no more. But that's another topic.
Uh-huh.
The point is, I remember Nikki as a little boy, but you guys were like really close, and then had your own interests a little bit, maybe.
Middle
And-
school.
Yeah, middle school
Yeah,
for sure.
middle
yeah.
school, and then the quarantine like brought these like now I'm seeing real friendships from Cody because it's also like your age, you're more mature and more deeper as a person. But yeah, I wonder how much of that was quarantine.
It was a lot of it
forcing
was
people
Yeah.
to, like,
I
dig
was
deep.
getting closer. I was getting closer with Gabe before quarantine, right
Yeah.
before. But then when quarantine hit, it sped everything up so fast, and it was so odd because I was growing up kind of apart from like Gabe, Nick, and Stoli, and then in high school we all started coming back to each other a little bit, and I started getting close with other people. Like I had another friend group, and I like found other people with the same interests as me, but I ended up just coming back to the same group of 4 that I've had since I was in 3rd grade.
Yeah, there's deep roots there too.
Yeah,
man.
and honestly, having history with people helps a lot.
A lot. It's actually very important, and I'll tell you why real quick.
Mhm.
Because I noticed it. I didn't understand it before. Because there are seasons to this game, and people act different when they change or when circumstances change. And when you see somebody that sticks with you through like really strange wavelengths of whatever's going on in your life, changing times, incidents that happen, fights, and you can bounce back. It's just like a relationship, and you still get along. It's like, wow, that's some real shit. You know, you can count on this person. Whereas, you know, from experience, you can be hot and heavy with a friend, like, oh my god, you're a cool person, and then a month later they have a bad day and they go fuck you, and you go,
Yeah.
damn. So you got to go through that to even see if the person's gonna be long term, because you got to see the ups and downs and the different seasons.
And I feel like with us, we never like forced each. We never like in middle school when we were obviously when like I wasn't as close with them anymore. We never like tried to like force each other to stay friends, like stay
Right.
really close. We just let each other do whatever we felt like we needed to do at the time, and then eventually we made our way back. And then and like now more than ever, I like life feels so real. Life feels so much more real now, and I value like my friends more than before.
I feel like you've also come back to me a little bit
Okay.
in the last,
Uh-huh.
I would say,
2 days?
3 months.
Okay.
You know why?
Why is that?
First of all, I let you go.
Yeah, he's right.
Why
I
is
let
that?
you go.
He's right.
It was really hard when you went from boy to man,
Mm-hmm.
or like that 14-year-old age, 14 to 15 maybe. So that was a big transition. And I let you go. I gave you a lot of freedom, I think, which was smart of me to do, because otherwise I would have smothered you, and you need space. You're a man now. Even though you're living at home, you are a man. And so I feel like because of that, and because you are now, I feel like you've become like a grown-up man in the last 3 months. Your attitude toward basketball, like just in general, how you carry yourself, your body's changed. All of you guys, like, you're mature. Even though you're having fun, hanging out with your friends, it's a maturity. You're working, you got a job, you got a car, and I've noticed you've come back to me as a man-to-man relationship. You're more talking. You're more stopping, go, hey, updating on something. Whereas for a while you needed that space.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a maturity. It's like you just went another level. Sit.
I think it's the same. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Like you let people go,
Yeah,
and then
man. Especially strong people, man. You guys are strong alpha males. That's gonna be the hard thing, is respect each other's kingdoms, man. You know what I'm saying? But like combined forces, dude, the network of you three together, working together, not just high school. If you guys are smart, I realize now I could have done really good business with my high school friends. We're still so connected, but unfortunately we live so far apart. I didn't value that enough. You may grow apart, it's possible, but don't think that you can't keep each other's networks intertwined and like help each other be successful.
I was gonna say another thing that like even though I would want to come to you or come to mom about like questions about how life's gonna be after high school and like how to deal with stuff and how to deal with the pressure of like having to grow up so fast. But it's so different now than it was before to me because of like because of like social media and like having to and the way like we use technology now with stuff like that and like connecting with people and staying connected with people, like there's no way you can know how it's going to be for me after high school because we lived in such different times.
Yeah.
Which I think is why it's so hard for a lot of times for kids to have relationships with their parents, because their parents think it's how it was when they were kids, but it's different now and they don't try to see the other side of it.
So teach us this, because you know what? I picked up on it luckily, but I don't understand it because there's no way for me to understand it. Things are changing so fucking quick. You have to know, like, for example, especially during quarantine, I realized at some point, dude, just let him be on his phone. Like, even though at dinner I would say put it away, but I realized, like, how else are you going to communicate the way I did? I was always at my buddy's house. We were always together. We were always out. So if you don't have that, of course you got to be on your phone playing video games late at night. You know what I mean? So that was a big deal. Like, if I don't let you stay up late and play like online video games with your friends, you kind of lose connection.
Yeah, I think you
realized
really
that.
would have.
Because a lot of parents would say, dude, you can't be up till that late.
Like me, Gabe, and Nick played Fortnite like all summer.
Yeah,
A
that was
lot
like,
during
Like the
quarantine.
first 6
the
months of
first 6 months
quarantine,
of
It was
quarantine.
yeah.
and that's how we stayed really close, and that's how we got closer.
Mm-hmm.
How important was that, like your parents allowing you to, because that's a hard one.
Mhm.
Because
What is?
old school parent to let their kids play really late
Mhm.
video games, was that important?
I think it was, you
Yeah.
know, because especially during quarantine, it wasn't like in the beginning, none of us were really out. I wasn't out for
Yeah, it was-
until I don't even know when. It was like from March to like May or something like that.
Yeah.
They went biking and then they invited me. I was like, okay, I'll go out. But yeah, during that time, those 2 months, for us, it was the only time we really talked was during those times
Mhm.
because like we were texting, you don't hear each other's voices, so that was the only time where we really heard
Yeah.
each other.
And it's not like specifically video games. I mean, we've all kind of changed since those 2 years. I mean, we don't really play like we
Mhm.
used to.
Yeah,
But I mean, video games became FaceTime, or it became,
right.
or it became it, or and then FaceTime became literally just seeing each other
In
like
person.
every single night of summer.
It was you guys going out to play. That's
Mhm.
what
Yeah,
it was.
it's the same thing. Yeah.
And since everyone else was up late, I was like, look, if I put a time limit on it, you're just gonna get like
Left out.
disconnected,
Right.
just left out. And it seems like that's not important, but it is for mental health. Like you guys are already like quarantined off from the human race,
Right.
Mhm.
so and
Well-
you see all the like effects that are happening. Like some of your friends, did you guys see like the negative stuff happening? Like
Yeah.
Like
people
what?
starting to smoke pot. And,
Oh yeah.
That
Oh,
was for like the few people that have that has happened over those years. It's kind of random
We're all thinking of
because
the
it's like,
same.
for example, like none of us would, because we're so close to each other and we have our own morals that like we would never do that. We'd never, get to that point at this age.
Yeah.
Like later on, that's like we figure out that later. But
Yeah.
the kids that have turned like that,
Yeah.
it was like a spontaneous thing.
Yeah.
Like it'd be a random thing. Like they'd agree with us, and then one day like something would have happened, and then from that moment on they changed. And it was because probably they weren't with their friends who thought the same thing, and it was with
Yeah.
someone else who believed
Yeah,
the opposite
That's
idea.
what I was gonna say. I was like leading back to the whole friends thing. I think the people that like, because everyone got like their friend group became really close. So like you get really close to a certain group of people. And I think that I honestly think the people you hang out with defines you, like when you're younger, because I think it's just a fact of life that you're gonna want to copy something. If you're with someone that they have the value that you like, you're gonna like maybe subconsciously copy it.
Mhm.
And when people found that group that probably wasn't healthy for them, they subconsciously copied it. And a lot of people have become like you can't even remember. Like it's just like such a drastic change. But then you just look at who they're with, and it starts to like connect the dots for you.
Right.
And if you're quarantined and then all of a sudden you might be limited to hanging out with a certain cousin that isn't a good influence because your friends aren't available anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then now you're being influenced at a young age. It doesn't matter. You're
Yeah.
not able to choose the people that maybe would have been a good influence. Like
Mhm.
had they been hanging out with you guys, let's say, whoever that is.
And yeah, I was gonna say, even though that's why I think finding friends at a young and staying close with the friends you found at a young age is so important, because when you're making friends at that age, you're only making it off of who is the same interest in me, and who do I think is the most similar to me. Like that's how I used to think of it as. So when you meet people like that, usually they're gonna have the same values as you, and like you're all gonna want what's best for each other, and you're gonna know what's best for each other more than if you hang out with these random people who you don't really know that well. That's how you start getting into the other new things.
Yeah, you're trying to impress them and fit in.
Right. Trying to fit in,
You
but you're
might
not
do
trying to fit in with
something-
us. Like,
Right.
I'm not trying to
Yeah,
fit
you
in
guys
with
can
them.
tell each
Yeah.
other to fuck off if they don't like you can't force Nick to do something he doesn't want to do
Right.
Mhm.
at this point because you know each other too well. You know what I mean? And when you're right, you got to have that core group. Hopefully, that if you have that,
Yeah.
It's like
You know, but
the
like you
smallest
said,
things.
they say show me your 5 closest friends. And
Mhm.
that's probably where
What you'd
you're
be
at
like in
your life,
5
right?
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, it doesn't mean that you have to limit who you're friends with, but it does impact you, man. You know, who you're going to be around. If you're around people that are doing stuff that isn't good for you, you're probably going to end up, getting influenced at some point. It's hard not to at that age, at a young age, when you're trying to fit in socially.
Like the smallest things can lead up to like what I've noticed this quarantine is like one decision can literally lead up to like something life changing.
Mhm.
Like I mean, it's even something as small as like my good friend Stoli. Like I introduced him to volleyball. He joined the team. He'll tell me all the time how he like lost 30 pounds and like he was in such a better mental shape just from me telling him one small thing about joining. Like I feel like that can definitely turn into a negative thing. with someone, people that you thought you knew, making a small choice, and then it just defines them as it's like evolved, I guess.
So let me ask you a question. Like, being a sophomore right before quarantine, and now, like, re-entering the school system as a senior. What advice would you give, like, high school kids to maybe sophomores
Shit.
or seniors?
There's things you take seriously, and there's things you should not take seriously at all. Like, I feel like all three of us, like, we'd probably worry about the dumbest things in sophomore year, about like fitting in, blah, blah, blah. We do the dumbest things right now at school. We'll literally be ourselves in the weirdest ways at school.
Because it doesn't matter.
I mean, maybe it's because of the where we're at school, like our reputation, like it wouldn't like be damaging to our reputation to do something like that. But in sophomore year, like none of us were like that. We definitely think about how we'd act. Like, just don't take it that serious.
Exactly.
Just be yourself. It's not gonna matter in a few years.
And we would like overanalyze how you look to other people, and like try to think about how you look to other people, and like change yourself to look how you think other people want you to, instead of just doing
Being
whatever
yourself.
the fuck makes you feel better.
How did you get to that mindset? Because that's a very tough one.
Yeah. I think
misunderstood.
think
the
Nick
podcast
Nick had probably the most drastic personality
well,
changes.
I think we all change.
Accepting yourself and being okay. Okay with being misunderstood. Being okay with not being liked. Being okay with somebody.
Oh, Nick's okay with not being.
I don't care.
That's,
Because
this is the key to so many opportunities in life. Because if you're worried about people not understanding you, not liking you, not thinking you're nice all the time, you're kind of fucked in almost every opportunity.
Yeah,
you
I'm not as good. I'm not as good at that. I know Nick's really good at that.
No,
though.
because the thing is,
I'm not good enough at that yet.
It's just a mental thing. You gotta get over it at some point. Well, what I meant was, so basically, in high school, you're gonna know these 3,000 kids. How many are you gonna see after those 4 years? Realistically, like I might not see these 2 kids after high school because of college. So what are the chances that I see like half them, 10 of them? You know what I mean? So sometimes, like Gabe was saying, in sophomore year we took things too seriously,
catering to other people.
Yeah, we thought, we have to
cool,
be a people pleaser.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, we're all we're all guilty of it in some way, of wanting to be like other people.
That's what I'm telling you. I was the same way. That's why I look up to you guys. Like because I tried for Cody to instill some things in you that I didn't have that really hurt me. Like, I always wanted to be in the talent show, never did it.
I did it. Not in high school.
No, in elementary.
It was fun though.
Yeah, it was fun.
That led
it was
to
worth
all
it.
these things.
And Nick did it too.
Care. Very important.
I mean, I think it's a specific example for Nick. Like Nick, for example, Nick would never used to talk about me and Cody about like girls or about feelings or anything like that. And it was just his personality. He's really like stoic, I'd say. That's a good word. That's a good word.
That is a good word.
But yeah, he's changed. Like he'll talk. He makes more of himself that I've ever seen him be
up.
himself.
We opened him up.
Yeah.
You guys feel like How did you? I don't even want to know. Now I realize what you're probably laughing at. But in what ways?
Nick opened up to us.
No,
Yeah.
okay.
How did you figuratively open him up?
What?
How did you figuratively open him up?
Well,
we just became closer.
Yeah, we just became. He could just.
Forced,
yourself.
really.
Yeah, I was forced.
How did they make you comfortable, like, to be yourself?
I mean, I never was. They would just force me. You know, it was just
Really, we
I
did.
didn't have the
No,
option.
Get out.
Can you put him inside so we get done with this shit?
Damn, Cannoli.
Wait, can you put him inside now or
You're not
try
making
to?
it easy to include you on this podcast, Cannoli. Sit. Be quiet. Go ahead, man.
But yeah, so like I was saying, I didn't really have an option. It was just like forced. No, I'm just kidding. No, but yeah, it was just, to be honest, it was like quarantine. Going back to that, it was just getting closer and having people that I know I can trust and talk to. So that's basically what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you think the quarantine helped you open up? Made
Yeah.
you feel like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and
You can't sit us next to each
Sorry.
other because I can feel when he's smiling.
But yeah. But actually though, they saw a big change in Nick. Also saw a big change in Stoli.
So you were vulnerable.
Yeah.
And it allowed them to be vulnerable.
You let your friends see you being vulnerable, whether you like it or not.
Exactly.
Awesome, man.
You don't really get a choice when you're close to each other that much. like it's gonna happen. There's something bad is gonna happen, and your friends are gonna see you suffer from it. And
you just open.
Yeah,
You were going through something bad. You said, "Hey, I feel bad." I feel
Right,
sad.
right.
you're gonna choose to either close it up and leave out of, I mean, embarrassment, or you're just gonna just let them see, and it's gonna let them closer. Like sophomore year, if Cody told me one of like I've known some of probably one of his darkest like worst secret problems. I don't know.
Should
I mean, something like
should I get the shovel?
something like
something buried.
like stuff he's told me sophomore year he would never have told me. Like you wouldn't even think about telling me.
Right. Too embarrassed.
Yeah, like he wouldn't.
Because you thought if you were honest, maybe you're
Because
good enough.
the
Maybe
thing
you
is,
do
everyone assumes that they're the only ones with problems.
Yeah.
But then once you tell other people about your problem, then they tell you about
Yeah.
stuff, and then you feel like way more like when the best feeling is when I tell someone about something. Like for example, Gabe, like I would tell him about something, then he would tell me about something, and it was like so cool because I was like, holy shit, I'm not the only one. And then it makes you like get through your shit way easier.
You
like
as
that.
normal people have problems. Everyone has something that's really bad to deal with. But I mean,
so huge, man. Like this is like adult shit we talk about. Hey, be vulnerable. Vulnerability is strength. The way people open up to me is because I'm so vulnerable with them. Like I'll cry if I'm sad. If I think I'm not good at something, I'll say it. If I'm like feeling down, I'll say it. And then people go, wow, okay. And then they start opening up to you because they trust you. If you're willing to be vulnerable, then okay, maybe it's not so bad if I admit I'm struggling with something. And then you're intimate, man. Intimacy is being open with each other, man. You know what I mean? It's not just physically.
Say intimate's not a good word for
I
us.
started biting. I started biting my leg.
You can get us really easy. You can get us pretty much with anything.
Uh-huh.
Oh my god, I'm sorry. In econ, this is random as fuck, but in econ, he will say any word and me and Gabe will laugh about it. He'll be like, so the supply curve, and Gabe will be like, curve. That's how it is. Oh my god. And also the difference in our friendship that when we started talking every single day changes so much because you know their day-to-day shit, you know their day-to-day stuff that they go through, and like it makes you so much closer with them when you get day-to-day stuff. And then you make jokes that you make every 10 seconds, and that is like when it just becomes so easy to be
I
friends.
think quarantine's created a unique group of. I think the experiences that kids in this generation are having right now is probably
different.
something that's gonna be completely different from and people in the next 10 years.
Probably ever.
Probably ever, honestly. Like when else have you been? I mean, unless aside from wartime, when are you gonna be in your house for almost a year? Like I'm sure some kids honestly probably didn't leave their houses that.
No,
I mean,
easily.
Yeah,
he'll leave his house for
if
literally
your parent,
a
like
year.
let's say your parents are really high risk of getting COVID,
Mhm.
and like or like getting COVID would pretty like devastate your family. Like you've probably literally been secluded from
Society.
like human interaction, society for a good year and a half, 2 years.
Do you think video compensates for?
No,
No,
not at all.
absolutely
even
not.
close.
Absolutely
Why
not.
you think that?
It's
completely
good.
different.
It does help, but it is nothing
Yeah,
close.
it's
What is
Nothing
it?
close.
What is it about physically being with
You
someone?
see
so much-
people's
you can see
emotions
yourself.
Exactly.
You can see yourself
on
I think is what I
FaceTime.
thought. You can see yourself when you're talking to people on video.
Mhm.
You have it's like a shield.
You get distracted.
Like you get
You're
you.
like,
Oh my god, that's so
not,
true.
it's not
You're
even. in
distracted
that
That's
by
sense.
exactly
yourself,
what
by
it
your
is.
own ego.
That's
You
exactly
just-
what
you
it
just-
is.
You see yourself, so you know how you look. You have it's like a sense of security. Right now, like in person, like you're just here. Like you have no idea how you
no
look.
hiding.
Everything's in person. Like
But is it just that or something else? Is it just that you're not seeing?
It's that, and it's
Control.
also you can see people's emotions so much better in person, and you get the raw. Like, there's no like going on pause. There's
Yeah.
no hanging up.
You can't click hang
You
up.
can't
You can't hang
Yeah.
up. You can't mute.
and you can't hide it. As
Like, there's
easily.
nothing you can do. You see everything in
And body
person.
language, too.
Exactly, body language. Because on
Yeah.
FaceTime,
FaceTime
you
is
don't
just
really
your
see your face.
Face, yeah.
Okay, what about just? You guys think like physically being in each other's presence, smelling each other, touching? Touching, not inappropriately, but like just hey, what's up? Hey,
Like,
do you think that's important for us as primates?
Ooh, that was a bad.
Like, would chimpanzees be happy just on
Oh
Zoom calls?
This is the problem with having a teen
they need
audience
to-
for your podcast.
They
That
need
is
to, They need to pick fleas out of each other's hair.
No, I mean, I get it. You're saying it's like a primal instinct.
No, I get it.
It's
Yeah.
a primal instinct to want to be with other people.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
why
yeah.
would you want to be
Like,
You
alone?
can't. There's
You
nothing.
need
I think there's
interaction,
okay.
yeah.
Oh my god! But I think there's nothing to replace in-person
Yeah.
And there's-
interaction.
I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I think there's something about in person that
Yeah,
you
it's
miss.
just-
That I can be on Zoom. We were on Zoom calls all day long, but there's something like draining about it. I like to be with people. Like
your
It might
mind
be
is completely
pheromones.
focused. Your mind is completely focused when you're in person with someone.
yes,
Like, okay, I struggle with anxiety a little.
Yeah.
So I know when my mind is focused because you're not thinking about anything else.
right.
When you're at home, when you're on a computer, you can be thinking about a million other things. But when you're in person talking with someone, like, I feel like your brain is literally completely focused. It's like the one way to hyper focus your brain is when someone goes and taps you on the shoulder. Like, you're just gonna talk to them. Like, your mind's like working on like autopilot.
Dude, that's brilliant. And I just thought of another great way of explaining it to your point. It's like in person is this ultimate virtual reality simulator versus the Zoom is just
Yeah.
a flat surface.
2D.
you're looking at. You can touch, like imagine a virtual reality game. Someone can go boom,
Yeah.
touch you.
It's all your
they're-
senses.
And
Right.
you're right, dude. Like there's a 3-dimensional being in front of me. So I'm like totally
Focus.
focused on
Engage,
you.
yeah.
And yeah, when there's a computer, I can be like,
Yeah, a million other things
Mhm.
could be
I'm
going
doing
on.
stuff. I'm looking at my phone. You're right, man. It's a different level of focus. And when you're not focused, you're not in the moment. You're not in the zone of the conversation.
Mhm.
That's why I love podcasting because it puts the in-person talk to another level. Because we have like an hour and a half or 2 hours set aside. There's no distractions other than cannoli barking every fucking 10 seconds. You know what I'm saying?
I think it could be applied to business. I mean, I feel like people go to like people. I'm like 100% sure companies get more done when they meet in person than when they meet over like online. I feel like you just like when you're focused like that, you're just gonna get more done.
You can get a lot surprisingly in business because it is sometimes superficial. You can get a lot done on Zoom because we got a lot of shit
Oh,
done.
yeah.
But to your point though, the trust factor. It's like if you don't meet him, I feel weird like just doing business. It can happen, but it's a different thing when you break bread. Man.
Are you gonna
When
invest?
sit together and have a drink and
Are you gonna invest $1 million into someone that you've never met in real life?
No.
Realistically, no.
But
I mean,
people have.
people have. I'm sure
Even
they have.
with our whiskey brand.
But I'm
But
saying
they
you
know
personally.
someone from.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that's different.
No,
exactly.
you
There's
you
connections there.
personally, if you're making some
No.
international business deal, aren't you gonna want to sit down at the table, look them in the eye,
Yes.
and be like, I'm giving you my money, like,
Yes.
And probably more than just that. It's like
Yeah.
something that takes time. You don't
let's
just
go out.
yeah,
have
you-
drink. I want to see how you eat. I want to know how you talk about
Yeah.
your family.
Yeah.
I want to know how you move. I don't try at all. Like I would do Zoom call if I'm making a big deal like that. I would do Zoom calls to get to know them because it's fast. I don't have to fly out. But then I want to go
Me.
talk
Yeah.
to them, look at them in the eye,
see how
see
they
if
act.
they look me in the eye.
Mhm.
Like on video, it's easy. You're looking at a camera, but in person, like you're really looking me in the eye, and I can tell if you're nervous. The body language changes. You get the full picture, man,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. Remember, we were on a road trip, and you were like, we were asking, how do you guys communicate? And you're like, oh, Snapchat, this, that, text, and we're like, you're losing the whole body language thing. And you're like, what do you mean? I go, well, when you're in person, you see the people's facial expressions and you go, Dad, we have emojis.
I definitely said that as a joke. There's no way I said that seriously. There's
Definitely
no way I said that
You
seriously.
were like dead serious.
No,
You were like
I was
12
not.
at the time.
Emojis.
Yeah, you're like, Dad, we have
When I was
But you
12, I
can
would send
lie.
emojis that were like this
Exactly,
big to
and you
people.
can lie too. That's the thing. Where online, you don't have that
Exactly.
in-person connection.
Lying
Be
is
like-
so easy
body
over
language.
text.
When
Yeah.
you're texting, you can manipulate the conversation. You can be like, how do I say this to make them, let me kill them with kindness. And you put a little smiley face to like soften the message. Like you're pissed off, but you put a little smiley. Like it's not,
Oh yeah, that's a
it's
good
not
one.
the real.
And
Like passive
a
aggressive.
murderer and the Pope
Yes.
could send you the same message on a phone. Would you know the difference?
No.
No.
You can't
It's a
find
great analogy,
intent
right?
behind
That's
text
good.
The
messages.
tone. the-
Uh-huh.
They're like, yeah, sure. like you don't know. Yeah,
And now that people know that they don't know your tone when you send a text, people overthink about what were they trying to say. Like,
yes.
oh, were they mad at me because they said okay without the AY? Oh
Mhm.
shit.
You don't see it a lot. I feel like you see it more with girls. Like
Oh, yeah.
we've been like we've been close with girls now. Like more so in like 10th grade. You see how much is like read into texting and how much. but like in person, it completely falls apart for girls.
You know how
Guys,
many
it's more confrontational.
You guys, by the way, the lessons you've already learned and applying to life are gonna last. Like they're gonna apply for your business and your future lives too. Because for example, in business and corporate, all the time I would tell my employees like, don't send that email, dude. Just call them. They're gonna get pissed off. Think about it, and they go, "Oh shit, you're right," because they don't realize how somebody could read that when they're already irritated by something, and you just write something. They don't know how you're meaning it necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys are way ahead of the game, by the way, in that you can have social interactions with people and look them in the eye. Because a lot of young people now are so out of practice with that, because there's not, especially with quarantine and social media and technology.
Do you remember? I'm sure we talked about this when it was me and Nick. When I would always say like, "Oh, when we go back to school, everyone's gonna be so like socially awkward, and it's gonna feel so different." I was definitely right. Like the way people, it just every conversation, people don't know how to deal with stuff in person anymore. Because before they'd be able to see a text and think about the response for 15 minutes
Yeah.
and type it out 3 times, delete it, go revise their essay, and
Lost that
to submit.
luxury.
And you can't do that shit anymore. So if someone comes up to you now and says something to you in person, you think about it. You have to. It's your pure like real reaction to it,
Yeah.
because you have no time to prepare like you do over the phone. Even when someone calls you and talks to you on the phone, you can be like, "Oh, like hold on," or
Right.
like, or hang up, or
Or you don't
mute,
even have to pick up.
or mute, or don't pick up, the phone.
I
Exactly.
What do people do? They get nervous.
Yeah.
People get, bro.
shows.
That's
Some
why
people
people
are
are more-
so weird at school now. Like
People
some
are more
people I used to be friends
territorial.
with.
I think that ties into it. People like they stay with their group. Like
Yeah,
they
yeah,
stay.
yeah.
They don't want to go out and
venture out.
take a risk like that.
Anyone outside their group, they feel uncomfortable with talking with them in person because they haven't talked to them every single day for the last year and a half.
I mean, there's also opposites. People that have become really social.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
like
true.
people.
Who are more okay with
yeah.
being social now. Yeah,
Some people. I mean, there's obviously the opposite.
I think
like
that's
you
with
said.
us. I think that's what happened with us.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, when we go to school, we don't not give a fuck who we're talking to.
Right.
Like, I'll go up to anyone.
Well, there's like Jenna. Like
That's what
Jenna,
I'm saying. People either went
super
got more
outgoing.
open or less.
Yeah, so people
Some
either
people
became
really
outgoing. Yeah,
because
that's
they
true.
went to like parties. Like if you didn't, a lot of people who didn't have really close friends, they ended up partying instead. And I mean, it changed. Like it doesn't matter. It affected people very differently. But some people became outgoing because of it.
Mhm.
Because they learned how to, like basically have complete strangers go up to them every night and be able to talk to them.
And it's also because the gap in between seeing people being quarantined, they missed that human interaction to the point where they were starved for it, so they had to party
Exactly.
because they haven't seen a group of 20 people
Yeah.
besides a classroom.
Right.
So
Yeah.
So I want to ask you all three to answer 2 questions.
Okay.
I kind of asked the first one, but I'll ask it again. Like, so the 2 questions are just like what advice would you give
Oh yeah.
like high school kids that are struggling? So like, I'm just saying there's a lot of teens struggling, man.
So like
A lot
what
of
would you say?
Teen suicide rates are through
Yeah.
the roof. Not all teens are handling it. Even though you guys struggled, Cody went through a period where remember you were like, man, I'm fucking sick of this shit. But you guys got through it. But a lot of kids don't, man. A lot of kids are like not every kid has to take that downturn. They could have found something through a friend, like, oh shit, I didn't know I liked this. Yeah, I'm going to focus my energy. Because everybody wants something they're good at. And they don't want to have a shitty life or a bad life, right? So what advice could you give like kids? And then my second question is, what advice can you give parents? 2 separate questions.
I think with the real, like, let's say there's a real possibility that quarantine could start in the next 2 days. I'd say if you're struggling socially and you're like 9th, 10th grade, it's really hard to do, but go out there and try to join a team or join something and just literally try to talk to as many people as you can, because if you find someone to talk to and you don't agree with their morals and you don't want to get stuck with them, keep talking to people. You're gonna find people you like. You're gonna find similar people to you. I mean,
Right.
we're all different, but there's stuff that we're all gonna like be together on, and get close to those people. Like force yourself to be outgoing. So when the time comes that you're gonna have to be secluded and you're gonna have to stick with those people that are like you have to get super close with, make them people that you can trust, people you like, because that's gonna be more valuable than anything.
I think the thing you guys said earlier is very key to that, which is how to not care what people think so you can be more outgoing. Because the reason people think they're introverted sometimes when they're not, they're just afraid to be judged
Mm-hmm.
because they might say something and someone's going to ridicule them. You guys figuring out that it's okay to be judged, it's okay to be misunderstood, it's okay not to be liked, open you up to be outgoing. How can a child, a young man or woman get to that level if they don't have that, if they're just not, because I know some people just struggle and they might struggle most of their life with it.
Also, I think if you don't act like yourself and you try to act like to be cool, like you try to act cool or whatever, you'll get people to like you who you shouldn't want to like you. You get the wrong
And they
people
don't
will
even
like
They
you.
don't even like you. They like
They
who
like who you're
acting
acting like. Exactly.
Yeah.
You'll get the wrong people like you, and then they're gonna start wanting to hang out with you because they think you're this kind of person, but really you're not, and they're gonna find that out,
Yeah,
and then that's how you
You're
lose
gonna want to
friends.
show your true colors. Like it's
Eventually.
just human nature. You don't want to. Why would you not want to live as yourself? So when that time comes, why not be surrounded by people that will accept it?
But you know that what you're saying is something most people never figure out.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
That's why it's so, I know, because I would be on Cody if he wasn't doing it. I'd be like, dude, you're not being yourself at all, and I don't see that. I think you're being yourself as much as any 16-year-old can be.
I agree.
Almost. You've got things to learn. Obviously, you could post more on your social media, whatever. I'm just saying, you could be more out there. You could put yourself out there more.
Yeah.
And not be afraid that you're a tryhard or something. But that's not the point, man. The point is most people, even adults I know, still, even me, I was struggling with that most of my life. Dude, I was an internal auditor. I had to be political in corporate a certain way that didn't fit my personality, the way I really want to be. But the problem with that is you're going to then attract jobs and opportunities and friends that you don't even like yourself. But it's because you don't think you're good enough. So if you don't put on that charade, they're not going to accept you, like you. But that's not true. To your point, you will find, if you trust in it's just hard to get to. Because if you feel like you're not worthwhile or good enough, like if you've been made to feel that way by your environment or your parents, it's hard to go, this is me.
Yeah.
Like when people do that finally, it's like, wow, that's pretty.
It's like
and
it's easier said than done
courageous.
because there's like social norms and a bunch of things to think about. I think you just have to set yourself up for it.
And it's easier for you guys a little bit because you're what's defined as kind of cool. Seriously, like you look good, you're athletic, you dress nice. What about people that are different, right? That makes it really hard.
Yeah.
Like Cody.
Yeah.
I was gonna say another piece of advice that I would say is because like a lot of the friends that I have right now are through basketball. Like obviously I met Gabe and Nick, and so not really through basketball, just through life. But another group, like if I didn't have them, I'd still have my basketball guys. Like Phil, like for example, Philip, Brody, Sahil, Tehran, Sam, like people like that, Evan, Sean, like all of that was through something that I love doing for myself. So like I think another way to find other people is by finding what you want to do for yourself, something outside of school. Like not like if you love math, like
There'll
that's
be
not
a
true.
group for
Like
you.
Yeah.
No
If
matter
you like museums, go to museums.
Yeah, like-
don't go, oh, I better go to a concert because that's what's cool. No, because then you're gonna be stuck with concert goers.
because there's gonna be other people that think the thing you
Yeah,
like
the
is
same
cool.
thing
You're
as
not.
you.
No one is the only one that likes something.
Dude, you can go on Facebook and type the most random odd thing you could ever
Find a
think
group
of, and
for
there's
it.
gonna be a group
There
of
will be,
people who
yeah.
like it.
Exactly.
Such as
Literally, furries who eat oranges. You'll probably find
You
a
probably
group of
could.
similar-minded people.
exactly. Any other advice to
Oh.
high school kids?
Oh, not the high school kids now.
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna talk about parents, but let Nick talk
Yeah.
about the students first. Kids.
I mean, they already said what I was gonna say. For me, it's just effort. Putting yourself out there, even for parents too. What I was gonna say, both ways. Like students dealing with social issues. It's really like how well you can push yourself, because you're not just born with friends. No one that's not how it is. If your parents were friends, they had to put effort into it, and they have kids, they become friends. But going to school, you're not gonna meet someone just by sitting next to them. You have to do something, say hi.
Right.
So I think for me, it's just effort and how much you put into what you want to do.
What if you're scared?
Well, that's also part of the effort, is you have to get over that, because you can't always live life scared, because then you would
it
never take
slow.
any risks.
Take it slow. I mean, you have time. Just every day.
Yeah. But I think Nick is right because the fear never goes away.
Yeah, it
The
won't.
fear is always gonna. It's just checking in with you, like. But then you got to do it. Like if you want what you want, you gotta have to make a first move. No one ever gives you anything. This life doesn't. Nothing shows up at your doorstep unless you order it.
Right.
So
Like,
you've
you
made an
have to make
effort.
that
You
Exactly.
still made the effort.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you still gotta make that.
Like even though I've made friends in high school and I'm comfortable at school or whatever, talking to whoever I want, but I'm not gonna lie. There's no way I can ever completely have zero fear about talking to like new people.
Yeah.
There's no way.
There'll always be.
Because no matter what, there's always going to be a little bit of fear. Even people that you know that you aren't like maybe that close with, like there's still going to be that sense of fear and like you wanting validation from everyone.
Of course.
That's why I think it's important to have your close friends
Yeah.
because then you're not
Support.
constantly worrying about like
Stressed
you're gonna
out.
worry about talking to that one guy that you've never talked to
Right.
that's hanging out with a bunch of guys like
Right.
a bunch of like the girl. Yeah, it's gonna be anxietizing, but you go back to your friends
Yeah.
and it's like you're
You're gonna be
people
fine.
you people
the
you have fun
the
with.
toughest fighter in the world has a fucking massive corner, man, and he
Mhm.
needs that support. He or she. You know what I mean? To feel
Mhm.
confident to go in the ring every time.
It's like a
They're always scared to go in the ring. They need that support, man. Like same. Whenever I have to, whenever there's an opportunity for somebody to judge me, this little bit of fear kicks in. You just get good at pushing it away and going, that's okay. Like basketball, every game you're gonna be like, what if I just suck today? What if I just go, oh? You don't know for sure because it hasn't happened. You just gotta go like, well, that's silly for me to focus on that. I'm gonna push it aside because that's not gonna help me get in the game and just take action and start doing stuff to, win the game, and that's it. You
Yeah.
just gotta get out there.
I was gonna say for the parents,
Yes.
This
is the key.
'Cause I feel like
this is the one I wanted to ask you guys because parents need to understand what they're dealing with, and you guys could probably help them more than anybody. Actually,
I feel like I've had a pretty good experience with my parents over high school. Like I've had a pretty
do tell.
good like I never
experience.
you pretty unique experience, yeah, but a lot like I appreciate it because I see a lot of other people who have a much tougher time with their parents and explaining to them how they want to live their life in high school, and the parents just not understanding that and wanting them to do what they want them to do, because I think like parents think of their kids, obviously think of their kids as like their kids and they're like theirs, like they have to give them the path to how to be successful. But instead, I think it's more of you guide them, obviously. Like you do have to guide them because you've lived life already or a lot of life already. But I think letting them learn their own lessons is so much more important than you trying to teach them the lessons without them figuring it out first.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like I'm letting you practice being an adult while you're under my roof so I can help you and you can come to me. So that when you do go off on your own, you're not like, fuck yeah, let's go fucking shit.
And when you let me do like crazy shit, if something were to happen, like let's say I go out and do something, but then like some certain thing I do, I realize after I'm like, probably that's not smart. Then I figured out for myself, and that lesson is so much more valuable because I learned it myself and I experienced it firsthand of why I don't want to do that anymore, instead of someone telling me, oh, don't do that, it's bad, you know?
Right.
Like, let your kid have their own experiences, but I also think that let your kid be comfortable coming to you when there's something really wrong. Like back to what you were saying, having a big corner. Like you always want to have your parents in your corner. You don't want them to be on the other side because that's gonna hurt against every. I mean, like realistic, if your parents are going against you, or if it's gonna harm you every step of the way. You're a kid. I mean, you have to rely on them. So like, I mean, it's what you were saying. There's a lot of like mental health issues going on, stuff like that. Like let your kid have their own experiences. Let them make their own lessons. And just let them know that if they have something wrong, like really wrong, that they're gonna be behind you, so you don't have to worry about having no one.
Right.
100%.
I was very conscious of you guys being able to tell me anything like that from a young age. Like I didn't want to filter language, and I wanted you to, when you came to me and said you did something wrong, I would always praise you for coming to me. That was important. That was to set up the teenage years.
That was super important.
If you can't
How
come,
was that for you?
Yeah,
Tell me, what did I do
super
right
important.
and what did I do wrong? I'm open to feedback.
No, I'm Well, you did a lot of shit wrong. But
Let's
I
start
won't
with
go
the
there.
good
Start with the good stuff. I'll just say I just think that that's super important because you never scared me to like you never made me scared to come talk to you about anything, no matter what it was. Like I know for sure now, based on the things that I've told you and how you've reacted, that there's really nothing I could say to you that would
And
be
I
bad.
consciously, I would be like, and I told you, if I ever get mad at you, you could tell me to fuck off right then and there, because I wanted to build that trust with you.
Mm-hmm.
And you came a couple times, like a few months after something happened, like, oh, I went to the principal's office or whatever, and I'd say, dude, thank you for telling me. To
Yeah.
build. And look, I'm not saying there haven't been things you didn't tell me. I'm sure, because you are your own person. It's your game. It's not my game. I'm just here to guide you as much as I can and let you live the most fulfilled version of your life as possible. But it's silly to think like you have to be aware of your child. Every child's different. Ben's not ready to be on his own, and Miles is different. Like once I honestly saw like, dude, this dude moved on from being a little boy that was like, daddy, daddy. You have to make that transition so quick.
Right.
That was the hardest for me. That was like, whoa, I didn't expect that, and I was still trying to like keep you and tell you what to do, and stay on you, and then I noticed you were backlashing, and I pulled back. You know,
I think like you always hear on the news. You'll hear in the news of like kids doing bad things or something horrible happens. Someone does something horrible, and their parents always say like, "This isn't them. Like this isn't how I knew them." I think it's like if your kid couldn't come to you the first time something was going on, that was actually bad and you needed help with, then it's not surprising that when it got bad, like your friends are pressuring you to drive really fast on the street, and you didn't, and you have no friends to back you. You don't go to your parents. Then 6 months later, you're joyriding on the freeway and you get into a car accident, someone dies, and like that's it. Like your life changes forever, and it could have been stopped back then, but you never gave your kid the opportunity to, or like you never let them know that they can come to you for stuff like that.
and it's as simple as human nature, right? It's as simple as if they know you're gonna yell at them, they're done.
Right.
If they know you're gonna be like, "Oh my god," but it's over. And like 95% of parents I know, that's the reaction they have. And I've had parents come to me and I'm like, dude, your child is 16. You can't be talking to them like that anymore. You can, but you're gonna have a traditional relationship where they're gonna tell you what you want to hear, and then you're gonna be like, why aren't you being honest with me? And it's like if I went to my friend and said, hey man, this thing happened, he was like, what's wrong with you? You're such an idiot. I'd be like, dude, what's your problem? I'm never gonna tell that friend anything. I came there for support, not
Yeah.
to be made
Yeah.
feel like even worse about myself.
Because I think if a kid wants to, they can hide everything from their parents.
Right.
Yes.
Dude, we have
They
got,
can.
dude, I have seen it.
I've seen
Some people I know
yeah.
have gone to extreme extents to hide stuff from their parents.
Right.
And it is absurd how much kids will go through to hide shit from their
kids
parents.
will literally lead they'll lead lives that if their parents heard, they like laugh. They think it's like a joke. Like
I know, man.
like what? Like are you talking about someone else's kid?
I mean, he's doing it.
Yeah. I know. Like where the kid has commanded a performance to such a level, manners, yes ma'am, yes sir, but then they're out there like, smoking up a storm, doing drug, like partying, and the parents would never know it. And I saw that growing up, and that's why I didn't want that.
I feel like
would
it's dangerous. It's
I would
like,
rather know you guys are going to parties, and I'd rather you tell me, hey, Dad, I'm sneaking out tonight, right? Than be the other parents who are their kid. They don't know their kids are out, so if their kid gets into trouble, they're not gonna call their parent. They're just gonna like wing it, like, well, I'll just try to get out of this myself. I can't call saying, oh, I snuck out of the window, like. So I'd rather have that relationship.
Mhm.
You have to be willing to sacrifice control and like feeling like it's your life, like you said, like you're mine. I don't feel like you're my property at all, and I think you know that. I always tell you, you don't owe me anything, and I don't owe you anything. I do for you because I love you, and we're gonna do because we like each other, we respect each other. That's the relationship I want. you know, and obviously I'm guiding you because I have more experience right now. And then when I'm old, you're going to be guiding me,
Mm-hmm.
you know, all comes full circle. Hopefully, if you like me. So, so what's any other advice to parents, man?
I mean, again, just the effort. Same thing with just like kids with parents. Like they were saying, you have to show your kids that you're willing to listen to them talk. Because when you don't do that, then it leads to the stuff like, oh, I snuck out and you didn't tell your parents that you got into a big situation, and then they find out 3 months later that you got like a something wrong with the law. That happens. Just suddenly appears. All of a sudden you have a warrant for your arrest and your parents didn't know because you snuck out one night because you weren't comfortable talking to them.
I guarantee you, there's a ton, like thousands of parents, man. Well, who knows, millions right now that are dealing with 16, 17 year olds that they're like, I don't know what to do. Because I've literally had probably, I don't know how many parents have come to me over the years that had like a 15, 16, or 17-year-old, and they're like, I don't know what to do because they've lost control. They can't discipline them anymore. It's hard, man. Like, and during quarantine, I think being at home actually separated them more. Like, kids would just be in their room and parents would just be doing their thing.
Yeah. I think it's important to check. Like, if you found Cody, like with like I don't know, like needles in his room one day, like like it's time to
Talk to him.
time like intervention. Like this isn't what I want for you.
Right.
Like this isn't what I imagine you doing. As much as you respect your kid, like what's gonna be good for him in 5 years, good for him 10 years,
Right.
so and so on. So like I obviously that's gonna be
Yeah.
important. Like there's a certain point where you have to.
Should I be worried?
Nah, not needles.
There's a
I
certain.
think you got to put in, as a parent, the truth is you got to put in the work early.
Yeah.
Like, you can't, when they're 16, that's the problem.
You can't
Hard
start
to-
parenting.
Yeah,
and
it's hard to
then-
16, you
catch
say,
up,
"All right,
yeah.
let's talk." It's like, fuck you. Who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
You've been talking down to me
You're about
my
to be
whole
an
life.
adult in 4 years.
And you're talking down to me my whole life, lying to me about things. Because parents usually lie to their kids. They keep them in the dark. They don't explain things. But then they want the kid to respect them when the kid is now an adult going, oh shit, like these people don't really treat me as like an equal or as a valuable, intelligent organism.
Yeah.
They may think it's okay because that's traditional, but the gut knows that that's not what you want. When you're
Yeah.
13, 14, you're almost a grown man physically. You could have babies, and I know you're maybe not responsible enough, but if the parents don't transition and start treating them like young adults, they're gonna lose them real quick.
Yeah. I mean, if you grow up with that, if you grow up early on having those values, like when you're older, that's gonna hit you when you're doing something like, yeah, my parents probably would, this isn't something I should be doing.
Right.
But if you didn't have those values, that's not there.
Right.
So when they tell you it's wrong, it's like, why are you telling me it's wrong? Like, what do I owe you? I've seen that with kids.
Right.
Like, they act like, not that they owe you, but like they act like it's insulting for someone to try to control them because they've never experienced it before. Only when they started doing things that are wrong.
Right. Exactly.
I think also if a parent has been parenting their whole the whole kid's life about like controlling them and trying to tell them what to do and like kind of restricting how they live, and then when they turn 16 they like, keep trying to do it and they never like let up and treat them like an adult, then at school and in life the kid starts gaining all these responsibilities like car payments, job, then they start talking about colleges and you start feeling like more of an adult because of the way the world is talking to you. But then you go home and your parents are telling you what time to get home, like you're a minute late to get home, and they freak out about that. But then you go to school and they're treating you like an adult. So it's like you have to deal with being still being 12 years old, like being treated like you're 12 years old and controlled and everything, but then having to go to school and deal with college applications.
Right.
It's like a healthy balance. You have,
Right.
there's no rule book to parent. Like,
There isn't.
there's no rule book to parenting.
But you gotta let your kids go, man. This is the key actually to all those parents that called me when their 16-year-old was out of control. I said, "It's too late. Now you gotta be friends," and that's what worked. Actually, I'm just saying to throw it out there if that's the situation. But also, children, for like the problem is labeling people as kids. you're young adults, even as a 3-year-old. I treat my 3-year-old as a young adult. He's just really young adult. I am trying to get him prepared to live an independent life. It's just gonna take like 12 more years. I'm serious, and that is a mindset. So I respect my kid because I'm like, oh, that's a young adult. Versus traditional parenting, my parents, it's like, shut the fuck up. Who are you? Who's talking to you? None of your business. Like, where are you going? None of your business. They always kept us in the dark. They always wanted to put us down.
Degrade you.
Because that's just how it is. You don't talk. You adults are talking. You shut up. I don't treat my kids like that at all. I always try to answer the question because I'm like, just because you're 3 and you can't make a full sentence doesn't mean I disrespect you. I just have to put things in your level to explain in your level and teach you. Hey, wait till daddy's done. But I'm thinking always, this is a future adult. This is a future badass motherfucker, and I don't want to like disrespect them.
Yeah.
So that's important, even though you're guiding them and disciplining and all that. Very important.
Daddy's done.
Daddy. You guys are funny, man.
What time is it?
What time is it?
Oh shit, 10:45. They gotta
We're
go.
wrapping it up, man. This was amazing. This was awesome. We should do this like
They have 11
periodically.
o'clock curfew for driving. So
Yeah. Let's wrap it up.
We have time.
You guys have any other questions? Anything you want to leave our fans with?
I think that went
Any
well.
words of wisdom?
We'll check in end
Yeah.
of senior year.
Before
Think
senior
about
year.
the topics,
Before.
man. Like if you guys,
Check in winter break.
But probably
Even
even
before
Yeah,
that.
maybe. Let's see.
and maybe if you want to bring a guest, if you want to bring Stoli, and
Yes,
maybe
next
you have
time for sure.
topics that you want to talk about that might help people.
We can bring the girls on there. Maybe they have a
Yeah,
different
dude.
experience than us.
You think they'll want?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
All right.
Sure.
Let's get their point of view.
Next time,
man.
Stoy at least.
Yeah, sure.
I want to get the ladies' point of view. Let's get it. Let's get it. We out. Cody, Gabe, and Quick. Nick the Quick. Knock him out the box, Rick. Knock him out, Rick. Knock him out the box.